It is 17 minutes after 10 o'clock. Good morning, everyone. You are listening to Música Clásica on Classic 107. I'm your host, Claudia Garcia de la Huerta. Very happy to be with you right through until noon. Coming up this hour, we have our classical recording of the week and your opportunity to win a $25 gift card from McNally Robinson. Also coming up in the next hour, our Classic 107 Arts and Entertainment calendar, giving you a list of all the amazing, wonderful things happening in Winnipeg in this weekend that you can take in. One of them is Breakout West, which is a fantastic festival that happens every year in Western Canada. It used to be called the Western Canadian Music Week. And basically, it's an opportunity to celebrate the best in Western Canadian music. And every year it's in a different city. And this year it's right here in Winnipeg. There are performances happening across the city at different venues. And it all culminates in the big awards show, which is tomorrow night at Club Regent in their event center. But this afternoon, Classic 107 is very proud to be a co-sponsor of the Classical Music Showcase, which is devoted to showcasing all of the classical music nominees in the awards and an opportunity to see what's happening in the classical music world in Western Canada, specifically new music. And one of the performers is a wonderful group out of Calgary called Land's End Ensemble. And I know all you new music fans, I don't even need to tell you who they are. But if you're not familiar with new music, this is a group that's out of Calgary, and they are dedicated to introducing audiences to new music by Canadian and international composers, and to performing landmark chamber works of the 20th and 21st centuries. Sitting here with me is one of the members, John Lowry. Good morning.
Good morning, Claudia. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, welcome to Classic 107. Welcome back to Winnipeg. You were here for the Junos as well.
Yeah, last March we were here staying in the same hotel. I think it's a different room, but everything feels very similar.
And a big congratulations to you, because you did not walk away empty-handed from the Junos last year.
Oh, thank you very much.
So I want to start with talking about the group and the society. How did it begin?
Well, back around 1997, there were two young composers in Calgary who there was a new music, a different new music society, but they felt that the younger composers were excluded at that time, and so they wanted to start their own group. These were people who were still undergraduates, and so they started their own society. It's called Land's End Chamber Music Society of Calgary. And our first concert was in January 1998, which is quite a while ago now. I suppose it's like 16 years ago. And so over the years, we've had a concert series in Calgary, and we've done many cabarets and jazz clubs and new music cabarets. We've performed, I think, around 120 Canadian composers by now.
Wow.
Over the years. So we think it's important. I mean, we're not the only ones doing that, but it's really important for our own composers to have their own voice, and so we're really happy to participate in that.
With more than 400 years of classical music history and content, what are the challenges in showcasing and exposing new music? Well,
I mean, there's so many different styles of new music now. It's in the time of Mozart, or you were just playing J.C. Bach, there were different styles, but the style was much closer. Now, different composers go in such utterly different directions that it's hard to know what you're going to get when you get a new piece from a composer. And sometimes there is a possibility of hit and miss sometimes. but it's new music is often very difficult. It's very time intensive. It takes a lot of rehearsal, and to make certain things sound convincing really takes a lot of thought and care. And sometimes we have conductors, sometimes we have electronics involved in the music. So digital signal processing, DSP we call it, often will play music where there are speakers in the room and the computer is doing something different, or else the computer is recording you and then playing yourself at the same time you're playing, but in a different guise. And so there are a lot of variations and possible confusions that can arise, but it's a great adventure. And when you do a lot of new music, you find that you're dissatisfied only working with old composers. Not that they are not wonderful, of course, Bach, Mozart, Haydn, Beethoven, everyone, but you really miss it if you're away from the new music, the sense of adventure and change, and it can be quite exhilarating.
Is that what it is for you personally that makes you want to play this music?
Yeah, it's also because I'm not a composer myself, so the only way for me to participate is to play. Now, often we do recomposing in the rehearsals sometimes if it's a new piece and the composer's with us. So that's the way that we can participate in the creation ourselves, you know.
Sounds so much fun. And I think part of new music too, I've always said to people, you know, you need to sort of open your minds up to it, but a lot of it, I guess the difference between traditional music and new music is there's a real difference between listening to new music on a CD and watching a performance of new music. And I often think that sometimes you get much more out of it when you are actually watching those performances and you see, if you will, the athleticism of what you've just described of, you know, doing all of these different things. Is there a difference for you when you are recording for an album in a studio as opposed to playing in front of an audience like you will this afternoon?
Yeah, it's very different. And as you said, for many people who might think they don't like new music, if they will come to the live concert, it is definitely more exciting and more. A lot of people are able to listen live much better than in recordings. But the recording is important because we want to preserve things for the future. Mm-hmm. So when we record, yeah, it's in a way it's very clinical. The mics are very unforgiving. You know, we have to do things many times and just find the right balance. I mean, recording, sometimes you might spend 5 hours just to try to find the right. The chairs are in the right place for in relation to the microphone or something. It's constant fussing and trying to make things sound as perfect as possible. And when you're in a live concert, of course, you're also trying to make it perfect, but you can't turn back. You start at the beginning and you go to the end. It's
kind of like live radio.
Right.
Someone said to me, the romance of live radio,
right.
When whatever happens, and you have no control over it.
Yeah.
So this afternoon, you're performing at in the Eckhart Gramate Hall at the University of Winnipeg as part of this classical music showcase. Tell me about the importance of having an event like Breakout West.
Well, Breakout West is like a festival over a weekend of Canadian music from Western Canada. Most of it is more popular music, and John Reid from the Canadian Music Centre has done wonderful work, I think, for the past 8-10 years, both at the Juno Awards and the WCMA, of making more of a presence for classical music. Because there are many thousands of people who will come to the more popular music performances, But John has organized this classical music showcase. Some of my colleagues from across Western Canada, really wonderful musicians such as Corey Ham and others. And it's a free concert. Anyone who wants can come. It's at 2 o'clock at Eckhart Grammaté, and it's music. Some of it is more traditional classical music, and some of it is new. So it's a very interesting mix. It's very exciting, wonderful performers. So if it doesn't come to Winnipeg every year, it goes to a different city each year. So this is your one chance for, I don't know, the next 6 years or so. So come to the concert.
Yeah, absolutely. I highly recommend it. And of course, our own Michael Walsh will be there hosting the afternoon's concert. I want to thank you so much, John, for coming into Classic 107 and talking to us. And I know there are a lot of new music fans out there who are thrilled to have you on the air. But before you go, you've brought us some music from your Juno award-winning CD. You're going to play not this particular piece that we're going to hear right now, but you're going to play some of the works from that CD this afternoon. And the composer is here, right, who's also nominated for a Western Canadian Music Award. So tell me about the composer and tell me about the piece that we're going to hear. And then we'll let you go because I know you have to run back and do rehearsals.
Okay. The composer's name is Alan Gordon Bell. We've known him for many years. I've played his music since the 80s. I'm also associate concertmaster of the Calgary Philharmonic, and so I've played his music in the orchestra and his chamber music. And he's an unusual composer in that his music is all about nature, and especially the Western nature, the prairies especially, but sometimes up north. The piece that I believe you're going to play now on the CD is called Field Notes, and the actual title of the movement is Sunset Chorus Outcrop. And you can imagine being on the prairie, preferably a place far away from human habitation, at sunset, and you can hear coyotes in the background, you can hear birds. It's very exuberant and rhythmic. It's like a perpetual motion. He's an expert at describing what he'll listen out in nature, and then he'll find a way to transcribe this onto the page and make it sound like the actual prairie through the instruments.
And that's what the best composers do.
Yes.
Thank you so much, John. Let's listen and enjoy. And that was music from the Land's End Ensemble. Not a piece you're going to hear this afternoon, but they'll be playing from their... Let me turn that off. They'll be playing a piece from their Juno Award-winning album, Gravity and Grace, the music of Alan Gordon Bell. And thank you once again to John for being my guest here on Classic 107.